everyone. I thought I would start making some videos to vlog my experience on board this cruise ship contract as a dancer because I've just always wanted to do something like this. I think that videos are a really fun way to share your experience, and I just really like editing stuff together. Can't say I'm very good at it, but I do enjoy it. So I also thought it would be a really good way for my family and friends to keep up to date with everything that's been going on, but also just for anyone who is interested to know what life is like working on a cruise. If you don't actually know me, then hi, I am Megan and I'm an Australian dancer who trained in Melbourne, and then I moved over to London in January 2020, which was the best time in the world, right before COVID hit. So that was a bit of a shame. I didn't really get to live the full London experience that I was hoping for. I was really excited. I was moving over to be with my boyfriend, and I did have a really good time for a lot of it, but I also had a really hard time for a lot of it as well. I moved over and I didn't really know anyone that well. It was hard being away from family and all of that, so I didn't have the best time. And obviously as well, like, I came over to London to perform, to dance, to hopefully try and get some work in that field, and I didn't quite get there, obviously, because the whole industry had shut down. I was lucky enough to still have work. I had a job in admin, so I was working behind reception for a really great Australian company, and they looked after me, and I was really lucky to have them. As things did start to open up, I was going to auditions. There was loads of opportunities starting to arise, and luckily I went to this audition for this cruise company, and I got the email 2 days later to say that I had been offered a contract, which was very exciting as it is my first dance contract, and something I've worked towards my whole life basically, as I've been dancing since I was 3. So I am currently on board a cruise ship, and we are at the moment in the UK, which is why I have loads of time because we don't have any guests on board. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to update everyone and explain what is our current situation, because I've now been on board for exactly 6 weeks today. It is the 19th, I think, of March 2022, and we have had one hell of a ride. The COVID restrictions on board are quite similar to what the world kind of was like over the past couple of years before vaccinations, I guess. At the moment, because there was a little bit of an outbreak on the partner ship of ours, our ship kind of tightened down on rules, and we weren't allowed to go into any guest areas, and we always have to wear a mask like everywhere we go. We had designated meal times, and yeah, we just couldn't really interact with anyone. We have cohorts, so we have wristbands that are coloured, and you are only allowed to socialise and interact with the people of those colour wristbands. So for me, it's entertainment, so I'm able to interact and socialise with the rest of the entertainment team. So that's the musicians, the entertainers, and obviously my cast as well, because we perform together. So yeah, they're sort of the basic COVID rules. If you get COVID, obviously you get put into an isolation cabin, but they also still have close contact rules. So if you're in contact with someone who got COVID, you also have to isolate. We were headed up to Norway for our first cruise, and the seas were really rough. Like, it was around the time where England was having Storm Eunice, and so the seas heading up that way were just insane. And I'd never been on a cruise ship before, so I'd never really experienced being in the middle of the ocean, and I was very lucky not to get seasick, but a lot of people did. Okay, so we went to Norway, and that was really cold. It was really beautiful though. Like, I've never really seen that sort of landscape before. We had to do what's called an install, which is where all of the shows get ready to be put onto the stage. So during our rehearsal period, we learnt 7 different shows, and 5 of those were our main shows that get put on in the theatre, and then 2 of those shows are bumpers, which can be put on in either the theatre or on the pool deck or in the lounge or those sorts of things. So it's a shorter show, and it can kind of be chopped and changed depending on where it needs to be performed. Costume runs, tech runs, lighting plots, spacing, all that kind of stuff. But because we were on a cruise where there were guests on board, we had to rehearse in the studios during the day, and then in the evening we would use the theatre from about 10:30 till 3 or 4 in the morning. It was really hard to adjust to that. We were warned that install was going to be really hard, but on top of our rehearsals we also had to do all of our safety training and induction, crew drills, that sort of stuff. And yeah, it was just really hard to adjust. As well, we were working into the night and rehearsing loads, so it was quite tiring, and I didn't really speak to anyone back home during that time, and that lasted about 2.5 weeks. So we weren't able to get off the ship in Norway because we didn't have any time. We were so busy, and when we weren't rehearsing we were sleeping at any chance we could. You wouldn't necessarily get like a full day's sleep or a full night's sleep. You would kind of like wake up 3 times in the day. And then we were going to the Caribbean, so we had a month-long cruise in the Caribbean. We went to the Azores, and that was a really exciting day because it was all of our first days off the ship. So it was the first day in a few weeks that we could get off and explore an overseas port. The Azores are like a little collection of islands off the coast of Portugal. And I'd never been to Portugal, so it was quite nice to do that. The sun was shining and we were just really excited to really start our adventure. We kind of just started to get more and more COVID cases on board because the Caribbean has a lower vaccination rate than a lot of countries and the UK and stuff. They had to make sure that when the ships come in, they have below a certain number of COVID cases on board. We actually weren't sure if we were going to make it. We started sailing away from the Azores. We made it about halfway there. The sun was shining and we were all up on crew deck one day, and we just heard this announcement to say that unfortunately, due to the COVID cases on board, it doesn't look like we're going to make it to the Caribbean. For the entry requirements, it's that you have less than 1% of cases on board, and because we are a small ship, that is a very small amount of people, and it just didn't look possible that we were going to be able to go. So we were just so devastated because obviously we didn't get off in Norway, and we had worked so hard during install that we were all really excited to go to the Caribbean. That was like the main thing that we were all looking forward to. During all of these sea days and all of that, we luckily did have some time to relax up on deck, lying in the sun, but we also performed our first show. So we opened that on Friday or Saturday night, and it was just so much fun. And it was the first time a lot of us had been on stage in over 2 years. And so it was just like an amazing feeling to be in front of an audience again, and it made me so excited for what was to come. But obviously that was before we found out that we couldn't go to the Caribbean. We ended up having to cancel the cruise altogether and head back to England. And then on our way back to England, we had another show, which was great. And then unfortunately, one of our cast members tested positive for COVID. So then we all had to go into our second round of isolation, which was okay. Again, we were put into a guest cabin. I had my cabin mate Hannah with me again, and we just kind of chilled out, and it was really nice. And then when we got out of isolation, we had like a little bit of time, and then unfortunately 2 other members of our cast also tested positive. So then we had to go back into isolation, and this was when we were arriving in England. We'd been told that we were going to get shore leave in England, which means that we can get off the ship. And obviously that's quite exciting for me because a lot of people that I love are here, and I just wanted to see family and friends, but then we were told we were going back into isolation again. It was all very stressful, but in the end we did manage to get off for the weekend, and I spent some time in London and St Albans, which was really lovely and very much needed after 5 weeks on the ship and only 1 day off. It obviously wasn't exactly what we had expected and hoped for, because at that time we were supposed to be in St Lucia and Barbados and all these beautiful places that we were just absolutely dying for. We got back on Monday and we had to get tested, and then there was quite a number of people that were positive. So the whole ship went into a lockdown. So literally everyone on board had to go into isolation. Again, I'm in a beautiful guest cabin, so I'm very lucky. We have gone into a wet dock in Tilbury, which is in Essex. The sun has been shining, which is really random for the UK. We are still in isolation. It is now almost a week here, over the last 3 days we've not had any new positive cases, so hopefully we are getting rid of it completely, and when guests get on the 29th of March, hopefully we'll be COVID free and the cruise will kind of go back to what it's supposed to be, where we can travel and get off in ports and perform and everyone is safe and healthy. I'm just kind of hoping for a little bit more normality. I've been on board for 6 weeks now. We've only been able to perform 2 shows and we've only been able to get off in 1 overseas port. So it's not exactly been the best situation for us all since we got on. Definitely not the cruise life that we had all hoped for and expected. To work on board the ship, you do have to have 3 vaccinations, so you have to have two doses along with a booster. So yeah, it's been interesting. Anyone who knows me knows that I am not good at summarizing, so I'm really sorry that kind of took a while for me to explain. But yeah, that is our current situation on board. I am hoping that we get out of isolation in the next couple of days because I'm going a little bit crazy. I've just been reading and meditating and getting up really early because the sun shines up this way into my balcony in the morning so I can see the sunrise. Going over the shows, going over all my choreography, and hopefully we will be rehearsing again really soon and performing in no time. Nearly 2 months into the whole experience, which means I only have 7 months left of my contract. My parents are supposed to be getting on board in May and I haven't seen my dad in over 2 years, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them both. Mum was able to come and visit me in London in January and we had a really special time, so I'm very lucky for that. Also, a lot of people have asked how my food is. I am vegan and that is a very interesting experience on board a cruise ship because it's just not as much of a thing. I've come from Melbourne, which is an amazing vegan city, and then to move to London, which is probably even better than Melbourne, and I've just had like endless amounts of vegan choice. Restaurants, everything in the supermarket, like I have been absolutely spoiled and I've gotten really used to the amazing vegan lifestyle. My food just isn't really as appetizing as it used to be. To be fair, they have really looked after me and I'm very lucky. So there is one particular waiter who greets me every day in the mess. He will look after me, so there's often a buffet, so we have all of the hot food in one section and then all of the salads and cold foods in another. If there is something in the buffet that is suitable for me, he will let me know as soon as I walk in, but if there's not, he will either call the chef or there will be a plate of food ready for me to go. But since being in this isolation period, we've been having food from a different area and waiters and chefs don't really know me and they don't know my situation and what I can and can't have. So it's been interesting. I'm trying to shift my mindset so that I am focusing on what I can control and really trying to stay positive. The Wi-Fi situation on board, so we get 2 free gigs a month, but you can only use that between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. So then during the day, if you're on a sea day and you don't have any network signal, you have to pay for the Wi-Fi, and that is £10 per 500 megabytes. So it is quite expensive and I do try and use that sparingly, so that is why sometimes you may not hear from me for a few days, but yeah, that's the Wi-Fi situation. And then when I'm in ports, luckily my SIM card allows me to use 4G in Europe as well. I'll keep you all updated as to what happens for the rest of our wet dock, which is while we're in the UK. I think they're just making some repairs and maintenance to the ship while we're here and while we don't have passengers on board. So yeah, I will let you know how the rest of this week goes. Hopefully we do get out of isolation in the next couple of days, and I think the weather is going to be really nice next week, so hopefully just get to enjoy that up on crew deck, get back into rehearsals, hopefully go back to the gym. Fingers crossed we'll be all together really soon. I will give you a little bit of a tour around my lovely guest cabin. So I've got a TV, lots of room, chairs to hang out and read, and a little balcony that looks over the gorgeous view of Tilbury Docks. I've been talking so much at this camera because I have nothing else to do basically in isolation, Have been learning French. It's been going well. I will keep you updated. Also, I've never been able to click, and randomly, oh, it's still not very good. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes not really, but I've never been able to even like, oh. Anyway, oh, that was a good one. Can click now. Okay, so it is the next day and we've just been told we are allowed out of our isolation cabins now. So I'm off to meet the cast and we're going to do a workout in the studio and I'm so excited. Are you excited? I'm so excited!
Hi, I'm Hannah Wood and I'm Megan's very, 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 very special roommate. I enjoy the gym. I really enjoy food and I really enjoy being Megan's roommate. I can't wait to be part of this vlog. I'm really doing this. Oh, yeah.
We're ready.
Ready to save lives and make a difference.
Hello, my name's Abby and I'm actually the best member of room 1010-5, but Megan forgot to tell you about me. I sleep with Hannah at night, but I bring joy to everyone in this room.
So it is now the 27th of March. It has been such a busy week. We have basically gone straight into another install. Obviously, it has been a while since we've rehearsed a lot of our shows after everything that's happened going in and out of isolation. Some of them we haven't even performed yet. So it's been a really fun week, absolutely full on. We haven't had much time to do much else. I haven't been videoing much because it's just been non-stop. But it's been really fun and it's nice to perform again, and we're getting back into the swing of things, and we actually leave England in 2 days' time and then we're off to the Canaries. So that's going to be a really exciting time. Hopefully we can get off and enjoy some ports. Hopefully it will be nice and sunny there, but not quite sure. I'm excited to show you some more actual cruise life stuff soon, but for this week we have just been so busy rehearsing and getting everything back up to scratch again. So I will keep you all updated with our next cruise as well, but thank you so much for watching and listening to my update. I am looking forward to taking you on this journey with me, and yeah, we'll see what happens next. 9 times 9. 89. Oh, I didn't see you there. Hi, my name is Jordan. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Scotland.
Hello, I'm Phoebe and I'm Megan's bestie. You haven't seen much of me because I've been isolating, but you'll see more of me soon.